The Dr. Ray Podcast is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio. Here's today's monologue with Dr. Ray Guarendi.
Something that has puzzled me for such a long time, particularly as a psychologist. People act heavily out of self-interest. That's why you get frustrated when reasoning doesn't get through to them. Or you get frustrated when they turn away from the way they were raised, because in their mind, they want to act according to their interests of the moment, of the time. It's always kind of fascinated me and disturbed me. Not to the degree that it affects my mood. I hesitate to use that word. That people don't think about an afterlife. They don't. Young people, I understand. They think they're going to live forever. They're 28 years old and everything stretches way out in front of them. But 80-year-olds, 85-year-olds, even 90-year-olds, I've seen so many of them who have lived their life pretty much ignoring God. Or maybe the better way to put it is ignoring the question of God. Ignoring the idea that this man named Jesus could be who he said he was, and there's ways to look into that, but they don't. I think most people ignore religion, ignore the question of God, ignore the question of Christ. They don't necessarily reject it or are hostile to it. It just doesn't mean anything to them. They've got way too much else that distracts them, and there's many reasons why people either leave the faith or ignore the faith. But I thought of one the other day, and it was prompted by a memory of when I was probably about 8 or 9 years old. I remember going into the tiny little front bedroom of my great-grandfather's house, looking into the casket of my great-grandmother. They had the wake in their house. That's what many people did not so long ago. And then I got to thinking, we've done a pretty good job of pushing death out of sight. Most people die older. They do. If you look at the statistics, probably, 90% of people die over age 65. They do. There's tragedies, and those tragedies shake us up, or shake up the people in the close world of those tragedies for quite a while, but for the most part, death isn't part of our existence. For all of human history, except maybe for the last 100 years or so, death was something that you lived with. You watched young children die. 50% mortality rate of kids under age 5 for much of human history, which tells you heaven's populated by a lot of kids who never committed a sin. But we don't see it now. Other than what's happening in our culture, deaths of despair, which many people are self-destructing through risky behavior and all manner of incredibly bad lifestyles. But short of that, people die in hospitals or hospices. They don't die within sight for most people, and those who do die are older. They've, quote-unquote, lived their life. So to the degree that death isn't an integral part of life, the way it always has been in human history, always, death was very common, and it was very near. It made you think about your mortality. I believe we push mortality out of sight. Don't think about it. Why? Well, because when it happens, it's really an extreme thing. most of the time. We can cure stuff that used to routinely kill people. I mean, for most of human history, people died of infections. You got infection. You either got over it or you died. Now, infections really don't kill the numbers of people that they used to. Much more common are deaths by, in many respects, lifestyle. I thought about this, and I thought, if death were closer to us, would it make us think more about God? Would it make us more ponder what could lie beyond here? I believe so. I believe that is a factor in many people not looking at the question of, what's it all about, Alfie? In the words of that old movie song, it's not nearby. Doesn't knock on my door. I didn't see my 13-year-old brother die of an infection. I didn't see my mom's baby at birth turn blue and die. None of that happened. I didn't see it. And it doesn't happen that often. The infant mortality rate has plummeted when it used to be very much a part of birth. So without death nearby, we don't think about our own death. It's something that's unreal. Therefore, God and heaven and hell and afterlife and what comes after earth is, it's not something you ponder. It's not even something you look at to answer the question, is there more than this? It amazes me as a psychologist how very few people that I know that are decent people don't look into that question, or if they do, it's not with any depth at all. It is the question of life.
More of Dr. Ray's monologues can be found on his website, drray.com. Monologues as well as full-length programs of The Doctor Is In can be heard at AveMariaRadio.net and EWTN.com/radio.